On one side of the low coffee table sat Yair Lapid, the leader of the centrist Yesh Atid party. Across from him, Mansour Abbas, head of the United Arab List, made history as the first Arab party to join an Israeli governing coalition. Between them, perhaps the most unlikely player of all, Naftali Bennett, a right-wing hardliner who has called for annexation of much of the occupied West Bank. Bennett will serve as prime minister for the first 2 years of the new government's term before handing the role over to Lapid in 2023. The three have almost nothing in common, except a shared desire to bring Netanyahu's reign to an end. Just 38 minutes before a midnight deadline Wednesday, at 11:22 p.m. local time, 4:22 p.m. Eastern Time, each leader signed the coalition agreement, along with 5 other parties from across the political spectrum, including hardliners previously allied with Netanyahu and center-left parties. Then Lapid made a brief telephone call to Israeli President Reuven Rivlin to inform him that he had succeeded in forming a government. The government will do everything it can to unite every part of Israeli society, Lapid said. For some Israelis, the photograph of the three leaders represented a hopeful moment, a sign that despite their ideological differences, they could compromise for the good of the country and break the endless cycle of 4 inconclusive elections in 2 years. But for many on the right, the image captures a moment of betrayal by Bennett, whom they have accused of abandoning his nationalist allies. The Faces of Shame boomed the headline of The Way, a newspaper associated with Shas, an ultra-Orthodox Jewish political party. The Shin Bet, Israel's domestic security agency, announced Thursday that it was stepping up security for Bennett, who has faced a wave of threats on social media after rumors about his plans for a coalition started to emerge. One image shows him wearing a Palestinian headdress known as a keffiyeh, which is similar to a right-wing poster from the 1990s showing former Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin in the same garb. Rabin was assassinated by a right-wing extremist in 1995. Abbas also faced criticism from some Palestinian citizens of Israel, also known as Arab Israelis, for not securing more immediate concessions in return for his support of the coalition. One of his stated goals was rolling back the so-called Kamenetz Law, legislation that tightens penalties for building without permits. Rights groups say the law disproportionately affects Palestinian citizens, who often struggle to secure permission from Israeli authorities. It was unclear whether he had achieved this. Bidding for seat aboard Blue Origin spaceflight hits $2.80 million fallout in Texas after Democrats block restrictive voting law. After testifying before the Senate, 16-year-old Stella Keating speaks about equal rights for trans teens. July 2016. Sarah McBride reflects on historic DNC speech as Israel's prime minister about to lose his job. Will President Biden cancel student loan debt? Grand jury convened in criminal investigation of Trump-Biden to visit site of Tulsa massacre 100 years after tragedy. Beto O'Rourke. Dems on Sunday stopped one of worst voter suppression bills in the U.S. Biden. 6 years ago today Hunter lost his dad and I lost my son. Tulsa residents mark 100th anniversary of 1921 massacre. What it means to stand watch at the tomb of the unknown soldier. Comstock. Capitol police officers want January 6th commission full crow. Sick of playing game of whack-a-mole, with GOP disillusionment from Dems on display after GOP sinks January 6th commission. Governors offer cash incentives to lure employees back to work. The new coalition will only take power if it can survive a confidence vote in the Israeli parliament. The coalition has a razor-thin majority of 61 seats in the 120-member parliament, so there is no margin for error. Netanyahu is likely to try to convince the coalition's more right-wing members to change sides and vote with him. In the coming week and a half he will engage in guerrilla warfare, in which shots will be fired in every possible direction, wrote Madi Tuchfeld, a commentator with the conservative Israel Today newspaper. His most likely target is Nir Orbach, a member of Bennett's right-wing Yamina party, who previously expressed doubts about joining a coalition with parties from the left. But after Bennett met with him on Thursday, Orbach wrote on Twitter that he would do everything to make the coalition work. Firstly, the coalition's votes will have to hold together to name a new parliament speaker, who would then preside over a vote required to confirm the new government. If the group can't manage that, the current speaker, who is a Netanyahu ally, could use his position to delay the vote and give him more time to sabotage the coalition. As the coalition was coming together, Netanyahu and his supporters ramped up a pressure campaign against former hawkish allies, including Bennett and his number 2 in the Yamina party, Ayelet Shaked. His political skills have nonetheless earned him the nickname, the Magician, and he has been counted out of Israeli politics before only to bounce back. But time is running out for him to produce another trick from his sleeve, and his rivals are preparing to take center stage.